The silent room. Emma woke with a jolt, her heart hammering in her chest. She was sitting on a weathered leather sofa in the middle of a massive windowless room. The walls were tiled, the floor a dizzying black and white checkerboard that stretched endlessly in all directions. The air was cold and sterile, like a hospital, but it carried an unsettling sense of wrongness. Then she saw it. The wall opposite her was alive. A grotesque face, impossibly large, was etched into the tiles. Its crimson eyes glowed faintly, unblinking, fixed on her. Its mouth was frozen in a hideous, silent scream, jagged teeth jutting out like knives. Emma felt the weight of its gaze pressing on her chest, making it hard to breathe. She tried to remember how she got here, but her mind was a maze of static and fragments. Nothing made sense. No doors, no windows, just the creature watching her. A sound broke the silence. Tap, tap, tap. Emma turned sharply. A small wooden box sat on the floor in front of her. It hadn't been there before, she was certain of it. A whisper followed, soft and raspy, like breath sliding across her neck. "Open it!" Her pulse quickened. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice cracking. "Open it!" The whisper repeated, louder this time. She hesitated, her hands trembling as she reached for the box. The creature's eyes seemed to glow brighter, almost expectant, as if it were waiting for her to comply. The box felt heavier than it should as she lifted the lid. Inside was a piece of paper, folded neatly. She unfolded it to reveal a single sentence scrawled in red ink. "How far would you go to escape?" Before she could process the message, the room shifted. The tiles on the wall began to ripple, the face twisting and contorting as though it were in agony. The whispering returned, louder now, a cacophony of voices speaking over each other. "Do you deserve freedom? What are you willing to sacrifice? Can you live with the cost?" Suddenly, the floor beneath her feet cracked, and she fell, not into darkness, but into another room. This one was smaller, more claustrophobic. The walls were still tiled, but now they were covered in words, her own handwriting. Each phrase was something she wished she could forget. "I lied to him. I left her when she needed me most. I didn't stop it." Emma stumbled backward, her breathing shallow. "This isn't real," she whispered to herself. But the whispers answered her. "Isn't it? These are your choices, Emma. Your truths, your crimes." The walls began to close in, the tiles pushing closer, squeezing the air from the room. She screamed, clawing at the walls, but the words only multiplied, growing darker, bolder. The room demanded she face them, but she didn't want to. She couldn't. The floor cracked again and she fell. This time she landed in a room identical to the first. The sofa, the box, the monstrous face. Everything was the same. Except now a small round table sat before her with two objects, a knife and a stopwatch. The whisper returned, low and taunting. "Time is running out." "What do you want from me?" Emma cried, tears streaming down her face. The creature's mouth twitched, and its voice rumbled through the room, deep and resonant. "Decide." The whispers grew louder, rising to a fever pitch. "Cut the truth out of you! Stop running! Choose before it chooses for you!" The stopwatch began to tick, the sound deafening in the oppressive silence. Emma stared at the knife, her hands trembling. Was this some kind of test? She picked it up, its blade gleaming, impossibly sharp. Her reflection warped in its surface. The whispers changed tone, softer now, but no less sinister. "You know what you must do, but will you?" She closed her eyes, the memories flooding back unbidden. The lies she told, the people she hurt, the choices she made that she could never undo. The weight of them pressed on her like a boulder. The stopwatch ticked louder, faster. "How far would you go to escape?" Suddenly, Emma slammed the knife into the table. "No!" she shouted. "I won't play your game!" The room froze. The whispers fell silent. The creature's eyes narrowed, and its mouth curled into a wicked grin. "Do you think defiance is enough?" it said, its voice dripping with contempt. "Do you think you can escape what's inside you?" The room began to collapse, the tiles crumbling into an endless void. Emma fell once more, but this time she landed in her apartment. Everything was as it had been, the coffee mug on the table, the unwashed laundry in the corner. But the knife was still in her hand, and on the wall, faint and flickering like a dying flame, was the face. From that day on, Emma's life was different. The whispers followed her wherever she went, quiet but persistent, a constant reminder of the choices she had made. The face appeared in her reflection, in shadows, in the corners of her vision. The questions stayed with her, haunting her dreams and her waking moments. How far would you go to escape yourself? In the end, no prison is more inescapable than the one we build inside ourselves. You can run from the world, but you can never run from the truth. The only way out is through, no matter the cost.